Welcome to the Ogles channel, thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy Color game. And today we're focusing on a game called Supercross Freestyle for the Game Boy Color. Now this is a weird game because it's like 3 separate games in one cartridge, because you have one mode that focuses on like learning how to do tricks, one mode that focuses on like a traditional motocross or raceway, and one mode that focuses on like a Mario Kart style gameplay, with like different items and different obstacles, and it's really different than the traditional motocross experience, but it really does feel like 3 separate games almost developed by 3 different groups for this one particular cartridge. But today we're going to look at how well do all 3 of these games mix together to make a cohesive game. But let's go ahead and dive into it. Now I always like to start the videos off by looking at the box art for the game first. And the box art for Supercross Freestyle, I mean, I feel like it summarizes the game pretty darn well here, because I mean, I don't know a whole lot about like motocross or dirt bikes or things like that. However, you know, you get the bike right center stage, which represents the racing aspect, and you have the rider on top of that doing a trick, maybe like the Superman. Looks a little bit different than the traditional BMX Superman. May not even be called that, but it does focus on the trick side as well. So it's trying to pull in, you know, the different aspects of gameplay here. And it says official game of the Supercross World Championship. So it's pulling in fans of the actual motocross federation and whatnot. But I do feel like the cover knows its target audience and is doing very well to appeal to that. Now when I started the game up here, I was actually pretty excited because this is the first game in the entire Game Boy challenge here that was going to allow me to put my entire name in here. Up until this point, it's always been Ogle. I was finally going to put Ogles in there, all 5 characters, but I guess I was so excited I ended up pressing A too early, and my name ended up being Ogleier. And so I guess I'll be the Supercross Freestyle Racing Expert Ogleier for this particular game here. But when you load the game up here, there are 3 separate game modes that you can play through. There's going to be a Freestyle, Supercross, as well as Arcade. Freestyle is going to be where you learn most of your tricks and whatnot. Supercross is going to be your traditional motocross experience inside of an arena, and the arcade is going to be like the Mario Kart style game with the items and the obstacles and the scenery and all of that. And like I said, 3 very different game modes. But let's take a look at the freestyle game mode first. Now in this game mode there are 4 cups and there are 4 tricks inside each cup, so there are 16 tricks that you have to learn in order to complete the freestyle mode. And so you select a trick that you want to learn. It takes you to a little screen here for the coach and a cheerleader, and it tells you the exact input on your controls that you have to do in order to execute that trick. And it's always like less than like 5 or 6 buttons. It's like left, right, up, down, A, B. They're all pretty simple, pretty easy to remember. Once you feel like you've got it down pat, then you go into the arena, and it's a 2D arena here, and your little rider here goes up this little ramp, and there's a little red zone. You have to execute a trick inside that red zone. If you do it correctly, he'll do the little trick up there on his little dirt bike, and he'll land off on a little ramp further on down. Now once you've executed a trick correctly, it then shows you an actual picture of that trick in real life, which is pretty cool to have a pretty decent quality image on the Game Boy Color here. And what's even more impressive is all the tricks that it shows the actual picture of, the little pixel animation for your character doing it on the dirt bike lines up pretty darn well. And so it's sort of cool, especially if you're like really into motocross and whatnot, to see a pixel representation of all these different tricks and for it to actually look pretty close to the real thing. Now if you do all 16 tricks, you get a little FMV video sequence here, which is also pretty darn cool to have an actual video, a live video on your Game Boy Color. This is the only instance that I know of, at least thus far in the challenge anyway, of an actual video inside a Game Boy cartridge. Now yes, the resolution is a little bit low, the colors aren't perfect, but you can definitely tell what's going on, and this is 100% a video on a Game Boy cartridge, and that's pretty impressive. Now as far as like actual fun value in freestyle, I mean, it's not a great deal of fun. It's sort of cool to see the, you know, the different moves and whatnot, fun to see a little video sequence here, but I feel like if it's any more than 16 tricks that you had to learn, I feel like it would overstay its welcome and it would really get pretty boring pretty fast. But I feel like 16 is sort of the magic number as far as, you know, learning the tricks, enjoying it, and not getting tired of it. It's not a fantastic mode, but it's not a bad mode. Then you move on into Supercross mode, and in this mode is going to be your traditional motocross experience, and you get to pick your actual bike for this mode. And as I was going through it, I recognized, you know, some of the name brands and whatnot, like Honda, Kawasaki. I actually had a Kawasaki motorcycle, not a dirt bike, back in the day, and I was going to go with this one, but then I came across the Husqvarna, and I was like, holy cow, I didn't even know this company made dirt bikes, because they make like weed eaters and chainsaw and stuff like, you know, I use around the yard and whatnot. And I sort of thought, if I use it so much on a daily basis, this should definitely be my bike inside the game. So I went with the Husqvarna bike here. And as you load it up, there are 3 different difficulties. There's Rookie, Expert, and Pro mode. And you can't access Expert until you complete Rookie, and you can't access Pro until you complete Expert. And so you sort of have to work through them here. And in each game mode, there's going to be 8 tracks you have to race through. And so it's like a traditional cup in like, you know, Mario Kart or something. There are 8 races. Your goal is to win as close to first as possible. The higher ranking that you have, the more points you're going to get, and then whoever has the highest number of points across all 8 races total is the winner of that particular cup. And so our goal is obviously to win first place in every one of these cups. So we load rookie mode up here, and all of the 8 tracks here are going to be based upon places around the world, like France and Germany and Brazil and the United States and so forth and so on. However, before we get to the actual, gameplay mechanics, let's take a look at the tracks first, because every one of these tracks inside the Supercross mode is going to be pretty much identical. And what I mean by that, they're all inside of an arena. Some of the backgrounds are going to be tweaked very, very minorly. The only real difference is going to be the flag for that region. Like, the United States will have the United States flag, Germany will have the German flag, France will have the French flag, so forth and so on. And the track itself may be like brown or red or green, but there's really no change in the scenery at all in any of these races. So you're going to go through 8 races that all look pretty much the same. The music is not going to vary enough to have any sort of distinctive quality about that either. And so as you're journeying through this, it's going to feel pretty much like you're playing the same track 8 times over. And I can't say I'm a big fan of no variety when it comes to that. But even the graphics of the arena are not great here, but that's nothing compared to your actual player here. That's just like one solid color pretty much, and all the other players are also one solid color. In the freestyle mode or the arena mode, the tricks and whatnot, you had shading, you had a little bit of different graphics for that. Your racer looked pretty good. And this, man, it looks really, really basic. And so the overall graphics between the player and the track here for Supercross, it's just sort of an ugly mess in my opinion. I don't like the way this particular game mode looks. As far as gameplay goes, like there's really no skill involved. It's just simply holding down the A button for acceleration, letting off of it as you're going around a curve a little bit, and just sort of dodging in and out trying to pass the racers. If you hit another player, you have to slow down a little bit, or if you go off the road, there's slow down a little bit, consequence for that. But for the most part, you can just simply hold down the A button, let off as you're going around curves, and just simply left, right, dodging the racers. And it's really darn easy. You can't do any tricks in this mode. You can't adjust the front or the back of your bike to adjust how you're going to come down a ramp to get extra speed and whatnot, like you could in like Excite Bike, which was made like 15 years before this game. And so this is a very, very bare bones racing game going around an arena. It's sort of ugly looking. It's not very good gameplay, and it's just going to be boring. And so the Supercross mode here, I just really don't like it. But as you're going through the 8 tracks, every time you win a first, second, or third, you do get a little cutscene here where it's going to show you on a little podium holding up your place value. And it's so weird because like the game so far had used like actual pictures, had used FMV, actual little videos. And then we have this little scene here. Looks like it's straight out like crash test dummies or something. It looks awful. And it's like, what happened to trying to use actual images, impressive visuals and whatnot? I'm telling you, the Supercross mode here, they really they just really skipped out on all the little bells and whistles to try to make this look good or really be fun. But after you finish up rookie mode, then you get to go to expert mode. It's going to be the exact same 8 tracks, the exact same visuals, the exact same gameplay mechanics. The tracks are a little bit longer. The racers are a little bit more aggressive, still not very hard. Then you go into pro mode, and once again, tracks will be a little bit longer. Racers will be a little bit more aggressive, still not really that challenging. And it's just very, very boring. Now, once you finish up pro mode, there are no credits or anything like that. So I was like, okay, so I guess to finally get the credits to roll, we need to go through arcade mode. And I was already getting a little discouraged with the game at this point. But then I loaded arcade mode up, and like, holy cow, this turns the game around and what the game should have been all along. Because you are still going to be racing around some tracks here. However, in arcade mode, you're going to get an individual background for every single track to represent that region of the world. You're going to have like little obstacles like rocks and animals, things like that. You're going to get items inside the arcade mode as well. Like you can get like a moon item to have low gravity. You can get like a rocket item to, zoom across the track, a tornado item, a star power item. I mean, I'm leaving some out here, but there are tons of items that you can get to make the game like way, way more fun. And so like the competition is there, and the visuals are there, and this is what the game should have been to start off with. But jump into arcade mode, there are 4 game modes. There's high speed, there's turbo, there's nitro, and then there's no limit. And of course, all of them are blocked off until you work your way up through them. And so we tried the high speed first, and in high speed, there's going to be 3 tracks you can choose from. There's Italy, Spain, and Switzerland. And as you're going through this, you can see a European landscape. You can see like little animals on the sideline, like little goats and whatnot. I mean, it's a really good looking track. I mean, yes, the graphics aren't like astonishing or anything like that, but you can definitely tell what all the obstacles are, and there's things to dodge, there's items to get, and it just really makes the game significantly more fun. Now when you finish high speed, you get turbo mode, so you get the United States, you get Netherlands, as well as England. As you're going through this, the United States can be like more of like an Arizona setting, which is pretty cool. It's a little mountain and little animals on the sidelines. As you go into England, you're going to get like little sheep and whatnot, countryside, little castle ruins, almost more like the Highlands of Scotland and England to a degree. And the Netherlands is going to have like, you know, like little windmills in the background, just a very, I guess, sort of like Holland to a degree. And so they did a good job like representing some of these countries and just sort of bringing some character to the game. And that's what was really missing in the Supercross mode. Because it doesn't get boring this way. You actually get to see a different aesthetic, different landscape, you know, different mechanics. It's just more fun. Now in Nitro, you get Sweden, Germany, and Portugal. And this one's I was a little bit confused on. Like Portugal was mainly known for like having donkeys on it. And I didn't know like donkeys were a big thing in Portugal. Germany was like a cityscape. And I didn't know like Germany was, you know, known for its, I guess, cityscape. I would have thought more like old-timey architecture. It was more like modern-day cityscape. And then Sweden was known for it, at least in this game, for its wood all along the sidelines. And like, I guess timber is a big export in Sweden. I don't know. This one was a little bit more confusing. This didn't match up as well as some of the earlier ones in the game. But still, even then, there are things to avoid, there are things to look at, and it just makes for a better experience. And then I came across the No Limits mode, and the No Limits was still blocked out. And I was like, wait a second, I've completed all the other modes, why is it blocked out? Well, it said at the bottom of the screen there that I need to beat Pro mode in the Supercross with at least 140 points, and evidently I didn't do that when I beat it the first time around. I still won first place, but I didn't get 140 points, so I had to go back into the boring mode of the game, go through all 8 tracks on that, get 140 points, and then I can come back to the No Limits mode. And they did a great job on the final 4 tracks here for No Limits. France is the first one here, and France is gonna be like a little French coastal town, sort of a cool aesthetic here. But as I was going through it, I noticed like, man, I am like doing awful. I've done great this entire game. The difficulty was never been like, you know, overbalanced or anything. And so when I got to France, I was like, losing horribly. I could barely get like 19th place. The best I could do was get like 9th place. And that was like perfect gameplay, best items possible. And I'm still just getting 9th place. Like, what am I doing wrong here? And so like I was like, maybe there's a faster bike that I could be using. So I went back to the bike selection, and sure enough, at some point or another, I had unlocked a new bike called like Starmus or something, like this little purple bike here, pink bike. And I was able to access this bike, go back into France, and holy cow, this bike made all the difference. It is a significantly faster bike than the Husqvarna, and it allows you to actually keep up with the competition. And so France wasn't as bad with this bike, but it was still probably the most difficult race in the entire game. Then you go to Brazil, and you have these awesome little cranes on the sideline, little flowers to avoid, little plants to avoid. One of the better looking tracks, probably one of my favorite aesthetic-wise tracks in the game. And then from there you go on to Finland, which is going to be a ice setting or a snow setting. And if you watch this channel much, you know I love my snow levels. And so a great little scenery for Finland as well. And then the final track you're going to get in No Limits is going to be Australia. And you start off, you see the little kangaroo crossing signs. You're like, all right, we're in the outback. You know, we should get some kangaroos. And sure enough, here come the kangaroos. You get a little kangaroo crossing in there as well. And so it's just the aesthetics here really add so much to the races, things to avoid. And the items themselves, when you're actually able to, you know, take your competition out or boost yourself around, it just adds so much to a game like this. And in my opinion, they should have probably just left off the Supercross mode or just simply done the arcade mode with a few more tracks. And the game would be significantly better if this was the main game mode instead of the sort of the third one. But when you do finish the No Limits track, you finally get a little credit scene here, a little image here. It says the end, some of the probably the pit crew off to the side, and the credits are scrolling across the bottom. And the credits will continue to loop forever until you press the A button. It's an okay ending, nothing really super special. I feel like they could have probably put another little FMV or video here or saved it for this spot, because this is a true challenge of the game. So, you know, you expect more of a reward for it when like the best reward was already given like way earlier in the game with the video sequence. But overall, this mode here, the best mode in the game. So how does this hold up as an overall game when you have 3 very distinctly different games? If you give every game an individual ranking, the Supercross is the worst, the Tricks is the second best, and of course arcade mode is the best part of the game. But as we're evaluating it as an overall combination cartridge here, I would say this game deserves probably a solid, I'm going to go for a solid 4. And the reason I say that is because the Mario Kart style arcade is actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed seeing all different visuals. I enjoyed seeing the variety of the landscape. The items are very unique for this game that have not been done in like any other game. Not even Mario Kart's done some of these items. And so very unique items that, manipulate the physics, manipulate the environment, had different, instead of just normal like little projectile shootout, had like tornadoes and whatnot. I mean, some cool stuff for that. I really did enjoy it. It's a shame it's not like link cable enabled, because that would have been a even better part for this mode. The doing the tricks was okay, nothing to really write home about, but it was fine, sort of fun for what it was. And then the Supercross mode really hurt the score the most, because it's a boring, ugly game mode, and there's really nothing good to say about that particular mode. So if you sort of average all of them together, I think the game probably deserves a solid 4. And if you're going to go back and play this game, I'd probably just say avoid Supercross completely. The motocross arena mode. Play the tricks if you're interested in seeing some of the sprites, but really, enjoy the arcade mode. I think people who load this game up can focus solely on that and have a pretty good experience and really get a good feel for what a early 2000s game was like, as far as racing game like, on the Game Boy. But what do you all think? If you played Supercross Freestyle for the Game Boy, let me know in the comments down below. Is it your favorite game, least favorite game? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play. Just simply have a great rest of the day.